Hello, all you beautiful people. Welcome back to League Unlock. Eric and Mark with you guys. And it's been a wild offseason for Echo Fox. They basically said, you know what? 2018 roster, making playoffs back-to-back, getting to those third-place matches? Nah, we're done. Let's just hit the reset button. We're bringing back Phoenix after we completely screwed him over in the summer split. I'm not sure why he agreed to that contract to go back with that organization. Maybe they had some long-term plan.
They asked him, who would you want to win in the NALCS? He said, anyone but Echo Fox.
Unless I'm on the team.
How does that happen? I don't understand. Oh,
I'm thinking Echo Fox maybe had some long-term plan where they said, listen, we're going to release you. We'll re-sign you next year. It's not like we're going to make Worlds this split, so don't even worry about it.
Look, I know Phoenix's performances as of recent haven't been so amazing and outstanding. But I tell you what, buddy, you deserve better than what Echo Fox has been treating you.
Yeah, I hope you signed a much better contract here heading into 2019. And then obviously the biggest news is Rush coming in as probably the starting jungler. I assume they're going that route, which means Dardoch, hello, all-pro jungler in back-to-back splits. Where is he going, and why do you think Rush is an upgrade over him?
Well, I think Rush is an upgrade just based off of what I have seen from him in the LCK. We have seen enough performances in the rare times that we did see him a couple times. Yeah, but in those games, he did find ways to perform, and I still think that we have seen enough from Rush, at least in the last couple of bits of years, to see that he is a starting caliber jungler, and I would be willing to give him that shot here in North America. But then when you're talking about, well, yeah, you give him that shot, over the likes of someone like Dardoch on Echo Fox and how valuable he had proven himself to Echo Fox this past year, it certainly is questionable, no doubt.
I think there's no arguing that he was at worst a top 2 jungler for the entirety of 2018. Maybe you can say Xmithie was better than him for the whole calendar year. That's fine, but at worst you're slotting him in second, which means assuming Echo Fox, for whatever reason, wants to go with Rush over him, because there was no talk of any toxicity issues throughout the entire year for Dardoch, which was a main concern, especially when he's with someone tilt-prone like Huni in that top lane, but there was never a whisper of any of that. So if I'm any of the 9 other teams, you're calling and saying, Dardoch, what's the deal? You want to come over here? I think he's pretty much, you could argue that he could have a place on any other roster.
Yeah, you know what we talk about here in the NBA, we always talk about how do you secure these free agents? Well, you send over all your best star players. If I'm TSM right now, I'm getting Bjergsen on the phone and I'm saying, hey, you put on your best suit here and you take Dardoch out to dinner and you seal the deal here.
Get this. Bjergsen has suits?
Oh, yeah, of course he's got suits. He's got the MVP trophies. You got to have suits. So, anyways, back to the story. He's going to be having dinner with Bjergsen. It's going to be great. Get him a nice steak dinner and then sign on the dotted line for TSM. That's what you got to get done here if you're Reginald and Bjergsen.
So Reggie pays for the dinner, right?
Oh, hey. Reggie's got to have some cash. I know he's not Steve, but there's got to be something funding all those Fortnite videos.
Yeah, that's a lot of Fortnite money that's coming in. So maybe in the long run, Fortnite will bring Dardoch over to TSM. It's all full circle eventually. But honestly, TSM is the front runner. People want to see Dardoch go there. I think you throw him on that roster, and that's a pretty terrorizing force to be reckoned with in the NALCS. And if he does go on, this is obviously what the roster is going to look like. I don't think it's completely necessary. Even with Greg, I think TSM will still be a solid team. And the one issue is you might have too many carry threats on this squad if Dardoch comes in.
Yeah, certainly does provide that level of, oh, okay, well, is everybody going to be playing aggressive here?
Does Broken Blade play tanks? Does he only play carries? Bjergsen wants to carry. Sven wants to carry.
Right, and that's the thing is if you add Dardoch here and Dardoch takes up one of those carry spots, maybe Bjergsen gets, put down off into that duty of being a bit more of a supporting type of mid laner. Now again,
and Zillion, baby.
There comes in the Reddit hate train once again for TSM, so I don't think that will be exactly what we would see here. But if Dardoch comes in, I think that does provide that next level ability for TSM to absolutely just stomp and steamroll games here with that aggression, with that decisive decision making that Dardoch does have and that confidence in his own play. I think that would bleed into the other lanes here and really help TSM out.
I think his play style and his play on the Rift will fit on basically any team in the NALCS. It's still, even though he had a pretty much perfect year relationship-wise and toxicity in 2018, I still think meshing with the players on his squad and getting that synergy together is a huge value that they're going to need for 2019. And we've seen that Bjergsen is probably the player that Dardoch respects the most in the entirety of the NALCS. So pairing them up and that work ethic that Sven and Bjergsen both have, I think that could work pretty well for Dardoch.
Absolutely, and I would be a strong believer in that being the reality if this was to happen, but I do need to be a little bit of caution here when you're talking about someone like Dardoch in the past, what has happened, and I do want to specifically mention here, now that TSM does have Coach Zeeks here with the squad and what's going on, Dardoch does have a bit of a history being on CLG with Zeeks and before and Aframu, and not that things really went sour with CLG. It just
never really know what happened.
Right. No one really knows what happened, and it didn't really work out. Is the end goal? Is the end result here what we saw from there? So I think that would be something that would need to be taken into consideration if you're making this type of move. But I absolutely would think that there would be no type of issue in the current present time about that, given what Dardoch could offer to the likes of Zeeks and TSM.
I think that same issue with former CLG members would be true for the other team I'd love to see him on, and instantly puts them as maybe even the best roster in NA. That's 100 Thieves. If you throw Dardoch in this roster, that is a crazy lineup and might even be better than Liquid on paper. But again, you talked about Zeeks. Well, this time you've got Huhi and Afromu, and maybe Afromu had a larger say in whether or not Dardoch stayed on the roster in 2017.
I was about to get to that. I was about to say that, of course, when you're talking about 100 Thieves, you do have to remember the situation with Afromu, which it seemed that was maybe where some conflict might have been as far as decision making within the team and what was maybe best for the team there. I think that might be more where it came from, and that's where some people say, well, what makes you think that Dardoch would behave, for not even a better word here, but be better with TSM and the likes of a Bjergsen as far as respect goes, if he can't even do that for someone like Afromu? And I definitely think that it's a different situation just based off of what they've accomplished and what they've done here in the LCS scene and how big the TSM franchise name is.
And I still think that Dardoch has matured so much since that era on CLG, specifically working with a great organization like, well, they're not a great organization, working with a great figurehead like Rick Fox, who has so much experience in professional sports and the mental aspect of just competitive anything. I think working with him has helped Dardoch wonders, so he's a totally different player off the Rift and a totally different teammate than in 2017. So maybe that relationship wouldn't be any kind of an issue. But on paper, that roster, I mean, you saw Huni and Dardoch completely destroy in spring. Well, Someday was better than Huni in pretty much every aspect throughout 2018. Ooh. So that's even nastier.
That's a pretty spicy roster now that you mentioned that. I'm thinking that one could be pretty darn potent here in the NALCS, but I still would really rather see Dardoch make his way to Team Solo Mid. I think that structure there, that team, and I think when you talk about Dardoch and other people I've mentioned before, some of the issues that you might get with him, well, that happens because he's so competitive, that fire to do well and to try and make others do well on his team. That's not going to be an issue with the TSM roster that they have there with the likes of Bjergsen and Sven. It'll be tough to see if he can even practice as much as those two guys know they do.
Yeah, I mean, they're the ultimate solo queue grinders, that along with Froggen. But really, every other team maybe inquires about Echo Fox, or to Echo Fox about Dardoch. But if you're looking at someone like Cloud9, I'm sure they're set on Sven Skaren and Blabber. That tandem worked wonders for them. CLG, I feel like Wiggly will be starting come 2019. They want to see what they can get out of him. Maybe they have confidence in him. So they're probably not going to inquire. Clutch seems set on Lyra. I would take Dardoch over Lyra, but they've already announced that and assume they're going with him. Optic just signed Meteos. One other team that maybe Dardoch could head over to is the likes of FlyQuest. I know Santorin was a third-team All-Pro jungler, but you can't argue that Dardoch would be an upgrade over him, and it keeps FlyQuest's theme of having all domestic players.
That's very true. It's still the all NA dream here with FlyQuest, but I do think that the likes of Santorin does provide a better pacing here for this roster in what they want to be doing, and I think adding someone like Dardoch with even, yes, it's a decisive kind of controlled aggression, I still think with the likes of a Wild Turtle on this team and kind of some unexpected values here from the likes of someone like Viper. We don't know exactly what his performance would be up there in the top lane. I think that it might be best to stick with something a little bit more stable with the likes of Santorin here for this FlyQuest all NA dream team.
And again, Dardoch and Pobelter, they also have a bit of history as well playing together. I'm not so sure how well they got along. So basically, there's someone that has played with Dardoch on most of the teams in NA, but still think he's a different teammate than we've seen before. So I would be absolutely shocked and disappointed in the NALCS as a whole if we don't see Dardoch somewhere, but I'm quite confident he'll be on a top-tier team come 2019.